This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 9. The National Football League, Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans, AFC South family business. You know how the family do it. And I thought I knew how the family did it. You know, and again, this is not my family business, so I try to stay out. But I figured even without Deshaun Watson, the Texans would figure out a way to get this family business resolved, move on, and keep pace in what is turning out to be a pretty competitive AFC South division. Thought they would find a way to get back to 500 and stay within striking distance. You're at home. It's the Indianapolis Colts. Find a way to get it done. Right? Right. Wrong. Colts come in, crash the party. I continue to talk about Jacoby Brissett, and I think he's NFL starting quarterback material. He showed it again in this game. Unfortunately for the Texans, Eugene Hilton didn't show up. T.Y. did. And that's why I told them at the trade deadline, if you're thinking about doing something stupid, don't. Because when T.Y. does show up, he can get you for $1.75 and 2 touches like he did in this game. That's T.Y. Hilton for you. When Eugene shows up, can get you for those same 5 grabs, but only for 27 yards or 2 catches for 14 yards. But when Eugene turns into T.Y. Hilton, then you got a problem on your hands. And the Texans found that out firsthand yet again, as if they didn't already know what T.Y. Hilton was capable of. Nonetheless, hey, Marlon Mack, 9 carries. How about that? So we're making progress now. Okay, we're starting to close that gap that I asked him to do. And it's funny because I talk to Colts fans and they get upset. They want to win, but they get upset because every time they think they've got Chuck Pagano on the block, they say, we got him right where we want him. We got him in a corner. We got him trapped. Like Barry Sanders, he finds a way to escape. And he gets one of these types of wins, like this one, where it kind of gives him more job security, even if only for a couple of weeks, even if only till the end of the season. It just gives him life. And if he gets enough of these, like we've seen in the past, somehow, some way, Chuck will be your head coach come next year. Will be your head coach come next year, and Colts fans don't want any part of that. So it just seems like every time Chuck is on the cusp of this season falling to the hell apart, Chuck finds a way to pull out one of these crazy wins to galvanize the organization and the team. And, you know, that's the Colts fans' worst nightmare confirmed, is if Chuck somehow is able to get 7 wins out of this season, and that's enough for them to feel like, hey, without Andrew Luck, with Jacoby Brissett, who came on board literally in week 1, 7 wins, not bad. Maybe Chuck with a full complement of guys can actually do something. You know, that's the worst fear of Colts fans right now. But nonetheless, you got the dub, and it was a gutsy win on the road in the division, man. Anytime you get a win in the division, family business on the road, that feels good. Feels damn good. Colts were able to do that 20-14 over the Texans. I got a ton of gripes and a ton of axe to grind with Bill O'Brien. It seems like he wants to get fired. Seems like he wants to get fired. I don't really know if that's his agenda or what, but it seems like he wants to lose his job. When it seemed like just 2 weeks ago, he was safe. Now it seems like he wants to lose his job again. It's like Brock Osweiler all over again. But we'll talk about that when we get to the Texans. But first, if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game. We want you to help us do that by simply hitting that subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. We've got a number of social media platforms that will keep you attuned and abreast of what's going on this channel. There's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, and of course there's YouTube. Turn on those notifications, especially on Twitter and YouTube, which will allow you to know what's going on this channel and when. The links to those social media platforms down in the description of this video below, and in every single video that I do for that matter. Also in the description is how you can donate to the Louie T Network. Those are the two ways you can do so, through Patreon and PayPal. Just recently put out a video citing what you will get if you are able to donate via Patreon. Have different tiers, and those different tiers get you exclusive content here on the Louie T Network. So if you haven't already checked out that video, that link to that video also in the description, as well as how you can donate. The links are in the description for that as well. So with that being said, let's jump into this breakdown quickly. Colts get the 20-14 win, get to 3-6 on the season with the win, and they've got one more game before their bye week. And this is a big one for them because, like I said, had they gotten to the bye week at, let's say, 2-10, they got into the bye week at 2-10, which would have been very possible with the Steelers on the horizon next week. There may have been calls for Chuck's head. This win, I think, buys him an opportunity. Even if they get steamrolled next week and lose 36-13, I don't think Chuck's going anywhere. But had they lost this game and lost next week, that probably would have been 4 or 5 straight losses for Chuck Pagano and this Colts football team. And maybe that would have been the impetus for Chuck being ousted in season and giving somebody else a shot to see if they could, in fact, not only be the interim, but end up being the full-time head coach next year. But I think with this win, what this has done is this has bought Chuck more time. How much more time? Maybe just till the end of the season. I don't think he's going to be back after this season because you have a new general manager. And normally when a new GM comes in, he wants to pick his own head coach. If the last coach that he inherited is there and he's coaching well, you leave him be. But if he's struggling, you want to get him out of there because you want to get your guy in there as soon as possible so that you can start your regime. Because you want to be able to take credit for the success that happens, and the best way to do that is to get your guy in there. If that guy fails, now it's on you, but at least you can say that I failed with my guy. I didn't fail with somebody else's guy. So general managers generally want to get their players in, their coaches in, and then they can go ahead and rock and roll. And so Chuck's skating on thin ice, but this was a big win for him. And Jacoby Brissett was outstanding in this game, 20 of 30, over 300 yards passing. A big chunk of that came to T.Y. Hilton on 2 plays. 3 really if you count one of his other big grabs. But nonetheless, he was outstanding in this game, and he threw some beautiful deep balls. The first one to T.Y. was a thing of beauty over the middle of the field for a touchdown. That's what they're going to have to do if this team is going to have a chance. They're going to have to make big plays in the offense. It's going to have to come from T.Y. Hilton. And they're going to have to do that more often. There can't be games where Eugene shows up and only has 2 catches and 4 targets. He's got to have the football in his hands. He's got to be explosive and dynamic for this team to stand a chance. And I thought Jacoby Brissett did a good job. I thought that T.Y. Hilton showed up, and that's pivotal for this team if they're going to have any shot of winning games moving forward. It was nice to see Marlon Mack get involved, 9 carries. Again, the more he touches the ball, the more opportunities for big plays to happen out of the run game. Old man Gore still back there churning along, but you want to keep getting the young fella involved. I love the fact that he was able to get 9 touches in this game. Defensively, this Colts team hung in tough. And, yeah, no Deshaun Watson. That's not your problem. You go out, you compete, you find a way to get them off the field. You got to Tom Savage a couple of times. He looked horrible in this game. I don't know why they didn't run it more, but that's, again, not your problem. You did what you had to do to find a way to get a win. And at the end, when they were threatening to take this one from you, 1st and goal from the 7-yard line, you didn't get not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 stops, including a strip sack forced fumble to preserve the game on 4th and goal from the 7 to secure the victory. So hats off to this Colts defense for finding a way to get it done. It wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, and it was a dub, and it was on the road, and it was in the division. And those are priceless. Those wins on the road in the division, those are priceless, and you were able to get it done 20-14. So big ups to the Indianapolis Colts for finding a way to get it done. against a team that is better than you, but they have their own set of injuries just like you do, and you were able to overcome better than they were, and you were able to get the win 20-14. For the Texans side of things, I got a lot to say about the offense and Bill O'Brien, so we'll start with the defense. Another one of these performances where you say it's not the defense we're accustomed to seeing in Houston, but then again, it's not going to be. They're not going to get a ton of pressure without Watt and Merciless. They're not going to be able to stop teams from airing it out without A.J. Boye and their corner situation being what it is. Johnson comes back a couple of weeks ago. You still got Jonathan Joseph. You still got Kareem Jackson, but the safety position is a problem in Houston. You saw that in this game with the big plays to T.Y. Hilton. That's something that has to be fixed in the offseason. Your safety position is a mess. Obviously, not getting pressure on the quarterback is going to be an issue. You did get a little bit of pressure, but Jacoby Brissett is notorious for holding on to the football a little bit too long. And so you're supposed to get at least 2 or 3 sacks on him just out of him holding on to the football a little bit longer than he should. But nonetheless, this Texans defense, I thought you did a quality job against the run. You forced Jacoby Brissett to beat you. Unfortunately, he was able to do that in this game, and he shouldn't have been able to, but he was. And had you had a full complement, hell, if you just had Deshaun Watson, you probably win, because 20 points isn't a whole hell of a lot in this league. You can give up 20 and still win. But when your offense only scores 14, it's going to be tough. And you would have loved to have seen this defense generate at least a turnover. Jacoby Brissett is usually good for at least 1 pick in the game, or a fumble or something. You didn't get any turnovers in this game, and you're not going to win if you don't create turnovers, because you're not good enough offensively with Tom Savage at quarterback. You got to find a way to generate some turnovers, short fields for your offense. Maybe something on special teams. You got nothing from special teams. You got nothing from your defense. But 20 points, again, supposed to be enough. You eliminate the big plays in this game, and you really only give up 6 points, because their 2 touchdowns came on 2 big T.Y. Hilton catch and runs. One where you thought he was down and he wasn't, and the other one he just beat you over the top. You take away, and you can't take away those plays. Obviously, I recognize it, but you take away those plays, and you only give up 6 points in this game. You got to find a way to be better defensively. Eliminate the big plays. You're not good enough to give those up and overcome it with Tom Savage at quarterback. So you can't give those up, and you got to create turnovers. You didn't do that in this game, and that's part of the reason why you lost. You go to the offense. Why is Tom Savage throwing the football 44 times a game? Remind me. Did that work before? Did that work with Brock Osweiler? Why? Why is Brock Osweiler still throwing the football? Oh, I forgot. That's Tom Savage. It looked like Brock Osweiler reincarnated in Houston all over again to me. Okay? This looked exactly like Brock Osweiler. You're forcing a square peg into a round hole. I don't understand. Was it me, or was the run game actually working effectively? I saw some nice gashes in the run game with Lamar Miller, who I absolutely love and don't think he gets the football enough. I think he had like 10 carries. Why did he only have 10 carries again? Remind me of why he only had 10 carries. And I believe it was something like 10 carries for 40 or 50 something yards. Remind me why he only had 10 carries again. Help me understand. Oh, that's right, because Savage was having himself a whale of a ball game. 19 or 44? Come on, man. He didn't even throw for 50% completion percentage. What are you doing? I don't understand. Help me. I'm lost. I found myself saying this numerous times last year. Help me understand what you're trying to get accomplished. Because this offense regressed, and obviously it's not the same offense. I get it. There's no Deshaun Watson. It changes the dynamics of this offense tremendously. I understand that. You go from a vertical passing game with Watson to a horizontal passing game with Savage. Everything was underneath. Everything was 10 yards and in to the line of scrimmage. Why? I don't understand. Why'd you stop pushing the football down the field? Okay, well, if that's the case, he should have a much higher completion percentage than 19 or 44. You're talking about 40% completion percentage. Where they do that at? And if you see that it's trending, and you weren't getting your ass handed to you to the point where you had to abandon run. Okay? It's not like you were down 27-7 in this game. You were never down big in this game. Never to the point where you had to abandon the run, abort run, and just strictly go to the air. Never a point in this game where the run couldn't have still been a viable option for you. And yet, somehow, you managed to run it with Lamar Miller 10 times, but throw it with Tom Savage 44 times. Bill O'Brien is, like I said, he's trying to get fired. And if that's the case, just quit. You don't got to cost your team football games. Let somebody else coach this team and help them win if you don't want to win so you can get fired and still collect the check. Just quit. Get a check elsewhere. Go be somebody's offensive coordinator. If you think you're so damn good, go get another head coaching job. But quit. Don't cost this team games because you want to get fired. Quit. Because that's nonsense. To throw it 44 times with Tom Savage? When the hell has he ever gained the respect enough in the league to throw it 44 times when the run game is working? When Lamar Miller's got 10 carries for 50 some odd yards, 5 a pop, damn near 6 a pop. But you're going to run it 10 times with him, probably another 5 or 6 times with Foreman, and throw it 44 times. Why? Where's the psychological sense in that? You need to wash your face, get your mind right. Made no sense. Then you come to the podium with some BS excuse after the game. Nobody want to hear that. Be better. You know better, do better. It's ridiculous. It sucked. Fairbairn missed his first kick of his career in this game because had he made that kick, then late in the game, when you had to go for the touchdown because you're down 6, you would have been down 3, and you've been able to kick a field goal to tie this game up, send it to overtime, and potentially come back and win this game. But, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But bottom line, Bill O'Brien and his play calling cost you this game. Really nothing else for me to say. The defense wasn't great. They gave up some big plays, but they did enough for you to have a chance to win this game, and you didn't take advantage. Poor play calling, poor execution. Tom Savage was funky in this game. And yet you continue to throw the football at will as if you didn't have another option. As if you were down big and you had to take to the air to bring yourself back. Yeah, with Tom Macho Man Savage. Right. Anyway, Indianapolis wins this game 20-14. Go to 3-6 on the season. Texans drop to 3-5, and this one stings. If you thought you had any opportunity to stay relevant in the AFC South, those hopes were pretty much dashed with this loss. Now, again, you're talking about Tennessee at 5-3, Jacksonville at 5-3. They could easily both lose next week. Texans find a way to win, and all of a sudden now you're talking about you're 4-5, and those two teams are 5-4, and you're right back in the thick of things. But you can't lose these types of games in the division. You've already lost to Jacksonville once in the division. Now you lose to Indy in the division. You plan on winning this division, because this is a one-division bid. I already told you. I don't think 2 teams are getting in from this division. Whoever wins the division is getting in the postseason. And if that's the case, you needed to win the division. You can't afford to lose at home to both Jacksonville and Indy. One or the other. Jacksonville is a more respectable loss. You can't lose to Indy at home. You just can't. Let's get to any comments that may be out there quickly. The realest sports fan says, as a Colts fan, I can't wait till next year. Chuck got to go. I know. Enrique Valencia says, good to see T.Y. back. Him and Jack Doyle have been good this season, but the wide receiver core outside those two is disappointing. Very much disappointing. That's why I thought they might try to move Dante Moncrief before the trade deadline, just because he hasn't done much of anything this year. John Perez says, any chance Bill O'Brien's job is in jeopardy? Of course it is. I think he's definitely done after this season. He's a joke to me. John Perez says, when the Colts let Pagano go after the season, should they go get a college coach or a coordinator? I don't know. It's hard to say. The rumors have been going around about, Shaw at Stanford because of his ties to Andrew Luck. Same thing with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. you're assuming that these guys want to leave the collegiate ranks to come and take an NFL job, one. And two, how often is it a college coach comes in and actually has success in the NFL? It's not often. Even Nick Saban struggled and went scurrying back to the college ranks. So there's a list of college coaches that came, saw, and failed and ran back to college football. Bobby Petrino, Nick Saban, Steve Spurrier. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. There aren't many that leave college that have a very prestigious collegiate background and record, come to the NFL and come in and instill that same mindset because it's pros. You're not turning over your roster every 3 or 4 years with new players. It's the same guys. The message gets stale. It's not the same thing. I think they need to stay in the NFL ranks, but we'll see what happens. I don't know what they're looking to do. The realist sports fan says Ty is inconsistent, but I think that clears up when Daddy Luck comes back next year. The realist sports fan says we should go after Stanford head coach. And I just talked about Shaw, David Shaw. A lot of people have been rumoring his name. I know he's in tune to what's going on in the NFL because he does the draft coverage with the NFL Network every year and does a really good job, actually. So I know he's in tune to what's going on in the NFL. Does he want to make that leap, though? I don't know. John Perez says, what's Frank Gore's future in Indy? Will he go play somewhere else next year or will he retire? The question is, will someone else give him an opportunity to touch the ball as much as Indy does? There's no way Frank Gore, if he gets work somewhere else, will get the amount of touches he gets in Indy. He gets 15 to 20 touches every week in Indy, which is crazy. Now, especially when you got a young thoroughbred and horse behind him in Marlon Mack. I don't mind Gore touching it 10 times in a game, but Mack should be touching it more than Gore, and maybe we'll see that flip-flop as the season progresses because the gap has been closed with Marlon Mack having 9 carries and Gore having 15 in this game, but still. Gore, running back position is a dime a dozen position. I mean, you can find a running back undrafted out of college and put him on your roster before you employ a 35-year-old Frank Gore, even though I think he's still got juice left in the tank, a little gas left in the tank, excuse me. I still think that teams will be a lot more reluctant to give a 35-year-old Frank Gore an opportunity versus some young, fresh legs. Like I said, the running back position is no country for old men. So I don't see, if he's not in Indy, I don't know if Frank will get another job. And we'll see what happens. But in any event, it's going to do it for Colts and Texans. Bill O'Brien royally screwed this one up, and they should have won this game. But that's what Bill O'Brien does. And so they're now 3-5 and had a great opportunity to get back to 500 on the season. You got the Rams next week on the road. That's a tough one, but at least you would have been going in there with a little bit of confidence, you know, and a chance to get over 500 and stay relevant in this division. Now with a red-hot Rams team, you're on the road against them. This thing could spiral out of control. It really could. And that this win here could have alleviated a lot of the stress of having to go on the road and try to win next week at Los Angeles. Now, you don't win that game, it's 3 losses in a row. You're 3-6, and you're Dunsky for the most part. So this one stings. For the Colts, 3-6. I think this temporarily puts the get the Chuck the hell out of here conversation on hold. For how long? I don't know. You know what I mean? Pittsburgh could come to town next week and smoke you, and then those conversations come back right back around. But for now, Chuck's safe for another week as they get the win 20-14. It's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back. I've got a ton more games to break down. Another ass whooping to talk about. Tampa Bay, Saints. A little brouhaha in that one, too. A little mix-up. All right, so we'll talk about that as well. And then Baltimore, coming close, but no cigar in Tennessee. All of that and more here on Lockdown Coverage. Don't you go anywhere. Your man Louie T's got you covered like a blanket. I'll see you in a little bit. Stay tuned.